Nothing. No.
A ghost wearing that, you know, you see the trail.
There's yes, you could.
Okay. All right, you guys, go get knitting or whatever you're going to do today with your scarves. We'll keep it going right here on America's Morning Headquarters.
So, yeah.
Well, here's
those big events that are ahead here for you in your life.
The Weather Channel has you covered from coast to coast. This week, we certainly have a coast-to-coast weather maker, starting with the snow in the northwest, thunderstorms in the middle, and beautiful weather in the east. It's just that it's all going to swing through.
That's actually a really good point. So those of us in the eastern half of the country enjoying much warmer than average temperatures, it's going to be coming to an end very abruptly, probably by early next week.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a lot colder.
Yeah, the pattern change is huge. Well, playing it cool is an understatement in today's big deal. This morning, more than 3 million people are waking up to winter alerts and frosty temperatures. All right, let's take a virtual view of Pittsburgh. Got a few clouds in the sky today, but overall, temperatures getting into the 70s. It is a great day to spend some time outdoors. Do not let this day pass you by. The leaves are turning. I mean, it's a gorgeous day out here. Temperatures are going to remain above average for the rest of the week. So, you know, if you don't get out today to enjoy it, you'll have tomorrow and the next day. But how much longer will you have all these above average temperatures? We do see a change coming, and by the time we get to the weekend, we're coming down. We're actually still above average just compared to where we've been. We're not going to be quite as warm. Temps for you today, tomorrow, Friday, I mean, they're going to be in the mid to upper 70s at this point. We're going to feel it all through the east. So let's just focus on what we get to enjoy, the here and now, with temperatures mid to upper 70s. Look at Raleigh, 78. Atlanta's going to be 77 today. The sun is out. Beautiful weather there. It is a little on the hot side, though. Places like Jackson, 86 degrees there. New Orleans, 85. And, you know, even up towards St. Louis, 79 degrees. It is the warm side of what you might expect late October. It's well above average. Temps are running about 10 to 20 degrees above average today. We're going to see this big ridge of high pressure that's been dominating the east continue to be our story, and it just nudges, and it actually gets a little stronger as we look at the next 2 days, kind of nudging to the east a little bit more, sending more people above average tomorrow, 218 million above average. And then on Friday, you know, we have a front making progress, but it's just through the Great Lakes, the Western Lakes. The Eastern Lakes are still going to be very warm, and a lot of the east still above average. So much so that we could be breaking some records. Now we get to it by Friday. Temps going to the 80s in Atlanta and Raleigh, and up towards Richmond, numbers are going up. D.C., 82 degrees. That is close to breaking a record. 83, the record to beat. It would be tying in Toledo at 78. St. Louis, we're coming close, just 2 degrees from a record. Philadelphia, the Phillies might not have won last night, but you might be winning in the record books when you see these numbers coming in at the end of the week. Temps are going to be very warm in the upper 70s. Then we go to Saturday's forecast, and we're still talking about record-breaking temperatures. New York City at the JFK airport, that would tie a record. Nashville in the mid-80s. We're still enjoying this high pressure. We're still going to have a very nice day out there. You know, thankfully, you know, this time of year when you do get these warmer temperatures, at least you don't have all the humidity with it. So we'll be running that above average conditions here all through the weekend. From D.C. to Atlanta, high pressure still in control. The sun will still be out, looking good as we get here through the end of the weekend. You get to enjoy a warm and sunny one across the east, Alex.
All right. Yes, indeed. But some changes.
You know, yesterday we were looking at it as a tropical storm, and really, to be quite transparent, didn't see it as this kind of force.
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah.
I mean, the models didn't tell us this was coming. This was not, we shouldn't be blaming anybody here. This is where the state of the science is. And we need to work on that in the future and make sure that we can sort of perhaps capture the uncertainty with systems like this that are finding themselves very quickly over conditions that will allow them to get real strong really fast. I mean, look, as you mentioned, this time yesterday, we were looking at it as a tropical storm, thinking maybe it gets to Cat 1.
Right.
Maybe it moves well east of Acapulco. Maybe this time yesterday, residents in Acapulco were thinking it would be breezy and showery and rainy. That's about it. And then, of course, last night, we ended up with a landfall in Cat 5.
Yeah.
Right. Again, Cat 5. Strongest on record to make landfall in Mexico. I look back, of course, Patricia we've talked about, but Wilma, I remember that being a strong one, right? Wilma was a strong Cat 4, you know, and that was over in Cozumel. So this is the strongest on, you know, on record.
This part of the Mexican coast has never seen a landfall this strong, at least in the record that we have. So going back a long way. So this is a very big deal. Exactly how strong it was, I think the forensic analysis will go back and we'll help sort of assess that. We had a reconnaissance in there a few hours before landfall. I think it was 115 knots, so Cat 3-ish, maybe a little more. But we don't have the data right as it made its final approach.
Just a note
about
that recon. I was reading a tweet from one of the pilots who said they were expecting a minimal hurricane, and then they found themselves flying into a Cat 3.
Wow.
And so
Look at that.
all the other data that you would use, whether it's just looking at the satellite representation or any other data around, didn't really lead us to that point, even at that point in its lifespan.
It was happening so fast. There was a burst of lightning right around.
Part of the reason it was able to do this.
Maybe so, and that may be part of it. It was well insulated from some of the surroundings. But here's the thing. I mean, last night when I went to bed, about all of the most dangerous weather was concentrated in a few miles.
Amazing. Okay, so as we look at this, people are asking, how is this possible? What could have led to this incredible rapid intensification?
Well, there's the rapid intensification going back just 24 hours there. You can see that going from a tropical storm to a Cat 5 in such short order. Here's a recap of the satellite pictures showing you that this thing is getting very, very well organized here on the final approach. And there it looks last night. No doubt this was going to be a nightmare scenario, the worst case scenario that you can think of, looking like that over Acapulco just after midnight local time. But you asked the question, and we're going to stick with this, guys. It went over warm water, warmer than average, but the heat content, there was a localized pool of very high heat content that Otis went over on approach that gave it all the fuel it needed to become a Cat 5. This is very, very unusual.
Yeah, but that's a trend we see with most rapid intensifying hurricanes, is this big pool of oceanic heat.
Events in your life.
The Weather Channel has you covered from coast to coast, and we've got a big series of storms, because it's really two kind of back to back, that is going to bring snow, possible severe, and it'll run into high pressure to start, but eventually it does make progress all the way through.
I mean, I'm kind of looking at the weather maps for the most of the eastern part of the country, enjoying nice weather, warm weather. It's coming, the cold air, maybe not the snow, but next week, Halloween, is going to be very cold for many of us east of the Rockies.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's taking its time. It's not just like boom, one day everyone's getting it. It's kind of a slow death to the cold that we're getting to.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be impressed by the strength of the high pressure in the east for now, holding off all of this. Because where this is happening, we're going to be looking at maybe a foot and a half, 2 feet of snow in a few spots, mountain locations, but we will even see some snow chances all the way down into the plains. So we will talk more about that coming up. We also want to bring you into what's happening in the tropics. Otis, Category 5 Otis, made landfall last night on the western Mexican coast.
And you're probably like, wait a minute, Category 5? We left us yesterday and this thing was
a tropical
storm. And how is that possible? Rapidly intensified. And we're seeing some of the images here from the nighttime hours, early morning here for you. And you can see trees down. And that is going to pale in comparison to what we eventually see in terms of the damage here from this system.
Yeah, and you asked the question, so you may be wondering, we're all kind of wondering, I mean, on this side as well, because as you said yesterday, we were looking at this thing as a tropical storm with the potential to get a little stronger. None of the models really had it going anywhere near what it ended up accomplishing. And another reminder that we're just not quite there yet with the intensity, and that's okay, but we just have to know that and be on guard next time.
And track too, to be quite honest, because this took a different track than was expected.
The Hurricane Center, they did a great job, and they did the best possible job in the worst nightmare scenario you can think of. Kudos to them. I know many of us feel bad for what happened, and we're just now starting to figure out it all. But we're there, and they were trying as hard as they can, and we were all were along with it.
We're going to dissect this. That's coming up this morning here, so stay tuned for that. It's about 40 past the hour. But we also want to take you